welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. I'm your host Vic, aka MrNeverChillin. This is episode number 38. Of course, I'm joined by my co-host Lunatic Ablivion.
Hey guys, how you doing today? It's another great day here, and we have a guest with us today, Scott.
Hey guys, how you doing? How's it going?
Good man, good man. Welcome back though, man. It's great to have you back on the show for sure. But tell
Good
us
to be back.
how you been, man.
I've been good. Just been kind of plugging along. Work. Started some new things at work. Did a couple classes for that, and just kind of getting back into it.
Right? Are you
So
are you still in the military?
yeah,
Okay. You haven't
yep.
been on call like on alert or anything with the whole crisis that's
Nah,
going on.
nah. It's been pretty quiet.
That's good. That's
So
good.
um,
What you been playing though lately?
so far, I mean, as always, Warzone my go-to. But just I finished. Well, I mean, what? It's been a while since I've been back. So beat Resident Evil Village. And then been playing some Far Cry 6 to get into that. I'm a little late, but they came free with my new video card, so
Mm-hmm.
gotta go through them. Other than that, I just got into Elden Ring this morning actually. I was a little busy from probably about Wednesday until last night. But those are what I've been really mainly focusing on,
Okay.
and just trying to bang out.
What's your thoughts on Far Cry 6 so far? I've actually played it, beat it, and reviewed it already, and I thoroughly
Oh
enjoyed it. But what's your thoughts?
yeah, it's pretty good. The whole kind of open world feel is pretty cool. Um, it has some oddities that I still can't quite put my finger on yet.
Mm-hmm.
It feels weird. It feels kind of clunky, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on a mouse and a keyboard
Okay.
though, so I'm not sure if that might be part of it.
Could be.
Uh,
Yeah,
so,
that's a big
but
issue.
yeah, it's a little. I mean, it's definitely still playable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, so far, nothing that's made me turn it off and not go back to it.
Yeah,
Have
that's
you ever
good.
So
played any of the other Far Cry games, though?
yes, I did. Yeah,
Okay.
I played up until I played the first three, and then messed
So
around with
you
the fourth a
played the
little bit.
original on
Yeah,
PC?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's a far. It's a.
it's
It's quite
it's
the
a
different
bit,
game.
yeah. It's quite different, but I mean, it's still fun. It's nice to see him at least doing some new things, and trying to think of his name, Juan
Yeah,
Carlos
Giancarlo
or
Esposito.
John Carlos.
Yeah.
It's nice. Yeah, it was good to see him in there, and they did great on his actual like scan and animations. So that was
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah. It's almost like a one to
But yeah,
one. It's insane
yeah, it was pretty good.
for
So
sure. What's your first impressions on Elden Ring though?
uh, it's definitely a Souls game. Uh, yeah. I think so far I've until I got the hang of it. So that is one thing that I did switch. I am not on my mouse and keyboard for that. That
Yeah,
that I tucked tail
I,
and I put the controller in because I just couldn't. After that it got a little bit easier, but it was probably about my like sixth death before I was like, all right, I can't do this. I need the controller. But so far great. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's good to get in there and just kind of see how everything's playing around. There's a couple things that I didn't like.
Mhm.
Um, so like I said, I've only been playing for a little bit, but if you've played, you said Roger?
Yeah, I beat Dark Souls 1, 2, 3,
Three, yeah.
and then this.
Okay, so in this, part of me is still worried that I'm like still in the tutorial because I had just gotten torrent, everything like that, and I've had to fight that troll monster like 4 times because when I finally did beat him, basically only by kiting him, uh, and using my glint, my spells because I'm a astronomer or astrologer, um, and then I waited too long and he respawned, and I did that like 2 or 3 times on accident. So eventually I just went the old-fashioned way and I just took the horse and just went through it, and I didn't stop until nobody was behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I killed my whole way up through there because I'm also playing a wizard in this game. I decided that I was going to stay tried and true with the way I play Dark Souls. From 1, 2, and 3, I've always played a wizard. Sometimes I've dabbled in sorcery as opposed to wizardry, which is using fire magic instead of the arcane magic. But with this one, it really does feel punishing a lot of the times. I definitely got to say that the some of the bosses are really hard, but like the enemies in the overworld are really easy as a mage. It's comically easy.
Yeah, it's real easy to just kind of. I mean, especially I don't know if you're kiting or anything like that, or if you're just even waiting for just from afar and like just one shot and things like that.
Well,
Kind of.
if things don't notice you, you don't use any stamina. So you're just sitting there whipping a magic at them, and you can just keep hitting the combo over and over and over again. So I really got to say I like the game. But yeah, you're still pretty much the map looks really tiny. That first glimpse of the map, I was like, is this it? Is this the whole thing? And then I got 2 or 3 more maps in, and I was like, never mind. There's quite a bit. Honestly, this game does feel like an MMO to me. It feels like a straight up MMO. I honestly am baffled at how much that feels that way. I'm not sure what you feel about it, but
No, it definitely has the MMO feel to it, which I think is kind of nice
Mhm.
to bring into it. So it definitely helps the overall experience a little bit.
And I think it's also interesting because for a while there, I'd equate it to like Skyrim and how Skyrim played, where I was like, traveling around. I'm like, oh, new dungeon, new dungeon, new dungeon. You're fine and stuff. I really like that this game, though, has diverged from the idea of copy pasting like a lot of other games have done. Like, I know I've played Skyrim or Elder Scroll games where you walk into a dungeon and it's the same layout you've been in 4 other times,
Oh yeah.
just the enemies are different. Well, this one, I feel as though no 2 dungeons are alike, except for like maybe the final boss battle room. That's it.
That's fair.
Up until that point,
sure.
everything is kind of unique and interesting. So I do got to say, this is a very fun Souls game. I think it's definitely divergent from Software's typical formula.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that that level of care go into some things like that, and not just taking the easy route with the copy pasta that Bethesda was so good with.
Right, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it looks really good. I haven't picked it up yet, but I do plan to play it probably next month or in a couple months here.
Mhm.
I've actually never played a Souls game, so this will be my first experience with a From Software
This
game.
is a pretty easy one, to be honest.
And
I
so
think
I'm
out of
excited.
all of the games,
And
it's going to be the easiest.
one down part I've seen about this game, it may not matter to you guys, but I like taking screenshots when I'm playing the game, and I heard that there's no photo mode in this, and I know that that's pretty big in games these days when it doesn't have a photo mode. I wonder if that'll be a feature that they can just add in later. Because the game looks
I don't think
beautiful.
you're going to get that. Honestly, that's just not something they care about because a photo mode would require the game to be paused. And when you're playing a Dark Souls game, the games can't pause. You can't
There's
pause the
no
game.
pause.
No, okay,
So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, unless they just feel that people are just willing to die if something comes up while they're taking their photo.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe make that like a rare achievement, something like that. Get the photo just as you're getting attacked.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
But yeah, with these games, they are multiplayer all the time, so people can just join your game and start trying to kill you randomly, or if somebody joins to try to kill you, somebody else may join to try and save you. So the game is always on. It's not like you can hit pause. Now you can walk up to a checkpoint and sit there at the fire. That's a pause screen, if you will.
It's your safe spot for a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. But moving on here to a little bit, definitely want to shout out everyone who checked out our co-op stream. We definitely had quite a few people come through, at least on the Chill Zones channel. So we definitely want to thank everyone. But Roger, what's your thoughts with Dying Light 2 Part 3?
I gotta say the game is rough. It doesn't feel polished, even though they've delayed the game to get the release that we did.
Mhm.
I feel as though there's a lot of issues with the games. Like, for example, I go running up to a wall, my character goes to grab it, falls off the wall, and sits there in a falling animation right on the ground at the end of the wall there. And then all of a sudden, if I hit the roll button, my character decides to do a 90-degree and as if he rolled forward. And I'm like, that's not how that works. And I find that other times, like, your character grabs stuff and it's kind of ambiguous when your character is going to actually be able to hold on, and your character is going to be like, and sorry.
Yeah, I think it's been really weird. Like, I feel like they try to split up like all of your potential abilities too much. Like you know what I mean? Like you can't like jump that far, you can't wall run, you can't do a lot of these things until later in the game, which is kind of what we alluded to in our first playthrough. But it's starting to feel like it's too stretched out. Like they wanted to generate so much content, and I'm unlocking these levels and these points to unlock all these abilities when you could have just gave me half of them already off rip, and then let me upgrade them or something like that in a way.
Yeah.
That would have been better, I think.
Honestly, I think we're kind of time gated by the fact that we don't have the health or the energy, and then you also need health and energy to be able to invest your points.
Right.
I don't know if you noticed it, but you have to have you have a threshold of max health and max stamina that you have to have before you can even choose to unlock an ability.
Right.
So it's now I got to go get artificial level ups as well as actual level ups in the game, and it just doesn't feel smooth.
Right. It like forces you to do like side missions when you don't when they have no meaning, or like when we have to go find those boxes and get those things that he opens up every time to verify that it's in there. We have to collect those to then get a point for our health or stamina to turn around and then go and level up our attack abilities or
And
our parkour. So it's just like
And not only that, it's like what's also strange is like, okay, you're near one, your device lights up and says there's one nearby, but you can't go to the room to get it because it may be gated by another mission.
right.
So now I have to find the mission that allows me into the room where the content is, even though the game's telling me, oh, it's right here. You can go grab it.
Yeah.
Well, now I can spend an hour looking at how to try to get in, only to find out that I needed to do a side mission that I didn't even know existed.
Right. Like we ran into today.
It's like,
Yeah. So I gotta say I'm disappointed with the game, but
It's like it's been fun. Like don't get me wrong, it's been a fun game
yeah,
at times. Like and it gets intense. Like when those chases happen, and I got up to a level 3 chase today, I was like, oh, this is insane, and I got fucked up at the end of it. It was insane.
honestly, I feel as though we lost the parkourness. Like it doesn't feel like the gameplay is there. Like the parkour meets the actual game because like the game's trying to get me to play Assassin's Creed parkour.
when you described the wall jumps and the issues with that, that it immediately took me back to Assassin's Creed 2
Yeah.
in like one of the first few dungeons. Only game I've broken a controller to because he just hits the wall and just dropped. He'd hit the wall and drop. I would have been frustrated.
And the thing is,
Yeah.
it was crazy. I told Roger today when we were playing, I was like, yo, these like climbing mechanics really feel like Assassin's Creed because I feel like you get to a point where like you're on the wall, but you can't go right, you can't go left, you can't go up or down because like it doesn't think like there's something else to grab onto when there's clearly something else there to grab onto.
Yeah.
And Assassin's Creed does it all the time. You gotta keep mashing the button until it goes, oh, there is something there, and actually goes and grabs
Yeah.
it.
Game's gotta figure its
It's
life out
like
before you can do anything.
yeah, it's like Ghost of Tsushima does that as well. Tsushima does you're on a wall and they're like, "Oh, let's add climbing mechanics." So you go to do the climbing mechanics and your character's like, "Okay."
Yeah, it's definitely clunky. I don't know if they can ever improve on it. I just think they were too ambitious and too worried about having 500 hours worth of content when that's not what we want or need. And you could
Yeah.
have just made a quality game with less. Like it's quality over
Yeah.
quantity. And that's very cliche, but it's honestly what we needed. Not 500 hours worth of content. Because there's a lot of side missions and shit that we go through and we're listening, and it's like, oh, you completed a side quest. Like I did. What'd I do? What did he even say? Like they got
Oh, I
characters in
just
there.
wanted to tell you a story. That's
Right.
all.
And then we
Thanks
got
for
By this
listening.
can.
and then we got
Yeah.
characters in there just like and that's how he talks and I'm like, what? Okay, dude.
Yeah. No, I definitely got to say the writing of the game is where the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah.
Because I've said it before, the story matters just as much as gameplay, just as much as the soundtrack. And like I'll be in the middle of something and the soundtrack decides to take a rain check. It's gone. That's it. No more music.
Or it plays very intense music when you're trying to self kill people.
Oh
You're
yeah, you
self-kill.
stealth kill a guy and it's like and you're like, all right, I guess they're alerted, and then it just stops and you're like, okay, I guess they weren't alerted.
Yeah.
Like why is it that and like the one time I stealth killed a guy and he just turns around half health and goes "Wah!" And I'm like, wait, what? I choked out a zombie, snapped its neck, and he turns around, stands back up and starts beating me. And I was like, wait, you're dead.
Yeah.
I killed you.
Definitely a lot of issues, but Nonetheless, let's move on though. We got a bunch to get to. We're gonna start off with the game releases. There's a fair share amount coming out this week. A couple good ones. Start off here with Elix 2 coming to the PS5, Xbox Series X and X, the PS4, Xbox One, and PC on March 1st. This is like a action game from THQ Nordic, so it'd be pretty cool to check that out. Far Changing Tides is coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, PC, and Switch on March 1st as well. This is like a platforming game from Frontier Foundry. The art style looks pretty cool on that one. Then we got Puzzle Quest 3 coming out on March 1st to PC, iOS, and Android. So a little bit of a smaller game here. It's a puzzle from 505 Games. So that's a good developer there. So we'll see what they can do with a smaller scale game. Then we get Shadow Warrior 3 coming to the PS4, Xbox One, and PC also on March 1st. This one here is another action game from Devolver Digital and Flying Wild Hog. So again, that's a good publisher, good developer there. And last but not least, we got two games here. I think they're or three games here that are a little bit bigger. Babylon's Fall from Square Enix and is Games. This is already on Xbox, but it's finally coming to PlayStation and PC on March 3rd. So go check that out. That was originally like a mod, I think, to like Skyrim or something like that at one point that eventually turned into a game. So that's pretty cool. And then obviously we got Gran Turismo 7 comes to the PS4, PS5 on March 4th. That's the next big entry into that series. We already talked about that and covered it. We're not really too impressed or we're excited for it. And we got Triangle Strategy coming to the Switch on March 4th. Game, Roger, I know that you've been waiting for. I know this game you're kind of excited for. Tell me about it. Tell me about your excitement.
So for me, Triangle Strategy, even though it has a terrible name still that I thought was only a working name, it reminds me a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics, which is a game we had on Nintendo Game Boy, Game Boy Advanced, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advanced back in the early 2000s. I'm excited because I like these kind of games. It's going to be a choices matter, build your character up how you want to build your character strategy game. And it's turn-based, the environment's destructible and you can work with the environment, like water on the ground can be frozen, crops on the ground can be burnt, people can be blown off buildings, things like that. So it looks really interesting to me. So I've pre-ordered it hoping that it's good because at this point I've been watching it since it debuted a year ago during one of their Switch events.
Yeah. But what about you, Scott? Any one of these games stand out to you or excited for or make you want to even try?
So I definitely want to give Babylon's Fall a try. Looking at that. After I had gotten this itinerary, and I was looking them up and to see these things. I didn't because didn't really have much of an idea that a lot of these were coming out. It was really surprising to see Gran Turismo 7. I'm not going to go buy a PlayStation, but good for them. Those were always really, really fun games. Babylon's Fall looks great, and Alex actually looks pretty good.
Right.
When I was looking at that, I feel like the initial feel that I got off of it was that they're gonna do what trying to think of the name. It was the one that they had released for Xbox. Basically, same looks like the same mechanics where you got the suits and
You talking about
I
Warframe?
can't think of the name. No.
Crisis?
Wow. No. Um, just like I'll think of it in a second. It's on my Xbox. I'm sure. But it looks like they're gonna be able to do everything that these original guys weren't able to do. It was the one with the suits where you had the javelin suits. You could do the
Anthem?
scout. You could do Anthem.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
The one that was
Thank
thrown in the
you.
garbage can. They were like, "Yeah, we fucked up. We're just gonna not this doesn't exist."
Yeah, that was kind of I beat it in like a day and just got rid of it. There was
Never even
nothing
had a
else to
chance to
do.
beat it. Everyone just threw it away.
It was alright. It was fine, but it was meh. But this is kind of giving me some definite like better Anthem vibes, which I think is gonna be they're gonna be able to actually pull it off. It looks great. And I'm excited for that one and Babylon's Fall, of course. Triangle Strategy. I mean, definitely don't mind turn-based. Final Fantasy Tactics was a great game as well. I think that one's going to be good. So if I go for any of those, it's going to be the Babylon's Fall, the Alex, and the Triangle Strategy.
Okay.
So
Cool. Yeah, definitely check those
I'm
games out though.
surprised. I'm surprised Gran Turismo's coming out. I forgot all about it.
Right.
Like,
That's
to be
yeah.
honest,
That was a
it's
surprising thing to see on that.
I honestly I think they've got a lot to go up against with Forza,
Yeah.
and like I really honestly don't feel as though it's going to do that well. It looked okay, but it just I don't think it has the oomph that we need right now. I feel as though it kind of is reminiscent of a Need for Speed in my book. It's been there, done that, nothing new.
Right. Yeah, it just looks like Forza Motorsport, but like last gen. Like you know what I
Hmm.
mean? It doesn't look next gen.
I think it'll still pull the original following from
Yeah.
the Gran Turismo
Because I
series.
mean,
I think that's going to be great for that. I mean,
because they're in
obviously
their
they felt the need to do a seventh one.
right. Well, it's their 25th anniversary, so my guess
Yeah,
is it was all planned. Everyone's big on the
yeah.
Yeah,
20th anniversary, 25th
and
anniversary. They gotta
Oh
do
yeah, for
something.
sure.
it's their flagship, so like you can't expect
Yeah,
them not to push their flagship for their console.
yeah, for sure.
Right. You figure Gran Turismo's been around since the PS1, so it's been on every console that they have. So this is the PS5's first one. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Gran Turismo 8 by the end of the PS5's lifetime.
Uh, Gran Turismo Infinite,
Whatever decided they want to call it for sure.
whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, enough of the game releases. Let's move on here. We got some industry news, some couple good ones here. We'll start off with the first one here. Microsoft wants to create a universal store that works on any device, and this is kind of in response to them buying out Activision Blizzard and with them having their own launcher for PC and stuff like that. So instead of having like these multiple stores, they want to just make one big store that is not only going to work on PC, but it's going to work on the Xbox or whatever other device that they come to, whether it's the TV with the Game Pass app. Like they just want to have one universal app. Roger, I know this is something that is needed because we both know that the Xbox app is garbage.
Well,
How can they improve
I
with this?
so like I think at this point we're looking at the fact that they have the technology for the Windows Store. The Windows Store's existed for, since 8 Windows 8, 8.1, and now it's, dragged into 10, and the Windows Store feels like sort of that redheaded stepchild of the apps that come with Windows 10.
Mm-hmm.
And the Xbox app was added, and it really didn't do much, and it was kind of just a brainchild to mesh your Xbox with the PC. But now we're looking at we've got Activision Blizzard. They've got a launcher that's got everything for Call of Duty, everything for World of Warcraft, everything for Warcraft and Diablo and Hearthstone. So you've got all these
Overwatch.
different and Overwatch. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I forgot about Overwatch.
Oh, you're good.
And so I think at this point they need a way to combine the three because we need an all-in-one one-stop shop. Because why am I going to the Windows Store app to update my stuff through Game Pass? I'm updating my Game Pass stuff on PC through the Windows Store app. So, and I think
Checks
at this
out.
point the Blizzard launcher is kind of outdated. It's been dragged forward and it kind of became I think a mess once they added Call of Duty to it. And it's a clunky launcher that's never altogether there. It always has issues. So I think at this point we need a way to consolidate all this because then they don't have to manage 3 or 4 different platforms to distribute their items.
Right.
Yeah, I've never had an issue with the launcher. I think the launcher
I
just
haven't. Yeah.
yeah.
I see people all the time on Reddit. They're like, the launcher's doing this, the launcher's doing that, and it's like, I'm sorry that your computer sucks, but like,
That's an awful lot like their problem.
Yeah.
Honestly.
yeah. And it's just one of those things where we're dealing with. Now, I've had issues though with the Windows launcher, so I'm hoping that we can potentially find them to bring all of them together so that it's better managed and it works better.
And I think owning Blizzard's going to give them the access to that architecture because it's been a solid launcher. It's been there since what I've been using that launcher since original WoW when they kicked the launcher out.
Well, not original WoW because the launcher we use now, the Blizzard launcher, didn't come
Yeah.
out until I'd
That
say sometime in Cataclysm. So
that one.
at this point, I think we're looking at they need a way to to bring things to all their consoles, especially now that they've got Diablo Immortal. I think it is. Is it Diablo Immortal for the phones? And then they got Hearthstone. So we're building all this architecture now that's going to be on other platforms, and potentially if WoW goes to console like they'd said before, that we've heard in the rumors, then we're going to also need a way to deploy that to the consoles because the launcher's not there.
Right. And
we'll just make everything a Windows Phone, and then we'll just make everything one nice big operating system, and just call it.
I think one solution here that is it's not necessarily like a rumor, but Valve expressed that they're more than happy to bring Game Pass to Steam, and I'm wondering if this could be their solution, is to not necessarily merge with Steam, but come up with like a partnership with Steam to allow them to just use their launcher, because Steam's launcher is pretty reliable, pretty like up to date. It works really well, and it just consolidates everything there. And I think if they can find a way to just use that.
Oh no,
we lost Vic. So,
Mike, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You had just disconnected and then all of a sudden came back and you were like,
but no, yeah, I'm just curious to see if that could be a potential solution, if they can come up with a partnership to use their store, because it works really well. Very, very few issues and stuff like that.
I think the other thing you're not seeing the writing on the wall is we've got the Steam Deck coming out, and I don't think Windows wants to compete with the Steam Deck. So I think this is their way of being able to move their stuff off of Game Pass and into Steam as well, so that it can be on the Steam Deck.
Right.
That way, when they inevitably buy Valve, their stuff's already there.
I don't know. Buying Valve, that would be the biggest purchase. I think that would
be a move and a half. But I agree with you, Roger. That'd be a really good chance for them to get with the Steam Deck and everything like that. And if they take the Xbox Game Pass, the availability of the games there, if they could maybe like, I don't want to say the word like tier, but basically like a tag on your account that you have the Xbox Game Pass, you use the same logon, something like that, and then all of a sudden you can access all your Xbox stuff on your Steam Deck when you're out, and there it is. Like, that's the harmony that would be really, really nice and really good for both of them.
And so I think moving on here, some more industry rumors to talk about. Microsoft's Halo TV show may not come out. It may never make it to our screens, even though it's supposed to be released this month or in March. So, Vic, you want to tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, so there's a potential lawsuit being developed here by the original game's composer, because apparently he's not getting any credit to any of the music that's used in the game, which alone,
he's not gotten a single royalty.
Right. So like the Halo's main theme that he created is being used in the show, but he's not going to get any cent from this. That's kind of pretty messed up, if you ask me. But I see where he's coming from, and he could potentially put a block on this where it doesn't come out right away. It could come out later once they say, hey, we came up with a settlement, and boom, here's your incentive, here's your money, go be happy. But that's pretty crazy. To forget one of the most iconic composers.
And I don't think he's gonna have a problem with that, honestly. I think that's just a complete way too easy lawsuit on his behalf, because, well, it's one of, like you said, it's one of, if not the most iconic starting soundtrack.
Well, I think the thing that's gonna suck for him is, does he own the rights to the song? Because that's the thing. If Microsoft owns the rights, then he doesn't get shit. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So depending on how his contract was written when he wrote the song, and it does feel kind of bad faith to me that they're going to reuse, one of the most iconic songs in gaming, as Vic said. It feels funky. It feels dirty in a sense here.
It's very dirty, absolutely. It's probably why it feels that way, because it's dirty as shit. And it's terrible. And I mean, I think that to me, he's already won the court of public opinion, for sure. Because anybody you tell that to, they're going to agree that that's dirty.
Yeah,
that's just absolutely dirty. So hopefully, when they do, if he can, and they eventually go to court, I mean, it's going to be.
Oh, hopefully settle before then.
Hopefully,
But talking about here, we've got two other shows coming out. Netflix announces Bioshock, a film adaptation for Netflix, and Nier Automata had an anime announcement. So is this either of these two games either of you played either of them?
I played Bioshock. I'm interested. That's Netflix has a penchant for jacking up some things. Hopefully, that's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
Circa, I mean, it's not going to be an animated adaptation that they can bastardize like Death Note, and things of the like.
Well,
but
we're not going from cartoon to live action. We're going
yeah,
from, live action to live action is the idea. Because with Bioshock, it's meant to look real, but, something like Death Note, it wasn't.
yeah, and it's going to be nice because all like a lot of how they like. I mean, it's all digital rendering anyway. It's
Well,
not
yeah.
like they can't just redo that again, which would be nice. So I think the ball's definitely in their court for how it'll look, and everything is going to be great. Hopefully, they just
Yeah.
don't drop it.
Hopefully, they
I
don't
think
drop the
that's
ball.
really it. It's a
And
cautious optimism is really.
yeah, it really is. It's such a good setting. I think BioShock 1 and BioShock Infinite, was it Infinite was in the sky?
Infinite, yeah.
So,
Yes. So, two BioShock series that I would love to see animated, or not animated, but redone as a television show. I think if we got BioShock 2 in there though, I think I'd be a little disappointed. The game wasn't bad, but it wasn't a flagship of the series.
Yeah, no, it was definitely just kind of there.
Yeah.
Verdict was it exists,
right.
and that's really it.
Right.
But I think if depending on how they go with it, how they handle this, if they're gonna do like one games a season or like a game can cover 4 seasons, who knows?
Or the other
I
crazy
have
thing is we've got another BioShock game in the works, so maybe this might be something related to that.
I was gonna say maybe they're in tandem. They're kind of working on storyline together. They're kind of working on that stuff. That'd be nice.
So
So
definitely an interesting perspective. I think the other thing to talk about here is we've got Nier Automata coming out. This is going to be an anime versus an actual live action from which we're going to see on Netflix.
No, it's not. Not
Are
on
either of Well, no. What I meant is Netflix doing a live action of BioShock,
Well,
where
yeah,
this is going to be an anime. So, is this something that we need? Like, the creators of Nier said that they're done with the series. So why are we now animating Nier Automata?
I guess
I mean, why not?
the popularity. I mean, it's really has grown, especially with the release of Near Replicant. When we played that,
Hmm.
that was like one of the first times that I even got into the series, and it was a lot of fun. It was something different. So I mean, why not continue to capture the success from that release? And I know this is based off of Autonoma, which is the game before Replicant. So why not? And this is coming to I think
Well,
Aniplex, or I don't know how they're coming
well,
out with this.
technically, Automata's after Replicant because Replicant was a re-release of a game that came out before it,
Yeah.
and it's actually Automata is a loose sequel to Replicant. So, it I think it's interesting, but I think it's not what we need right now. Knowing that they're stopping the Nier series, it's just sort of a rehashing of a story that was really well done as a video game.
Right. No. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I'm excited for both of these to come out. I mean, it's always cool to see that we're starting to see a lot more of that multimedia crossover between like TV shows and games and movies and books and stuff like that. And I think the Bioshock one is pretty cool because we already know that new Bioshock's in development. So to see a movie, maybe build some more hype off of it, you can already play the remastered collection of the Bioshock series. So it's all there if you want to check it out. It's a pretty cool series. I actually never played it. It's on my backlog to play though.
So you'll never play it, is what you're saying?
No, I'm slowly getting to my
So
backlog. Hey, I played through and beat Mass Effect One.
The ever-growing backlog,
Yeah,
the
the
infamous,
ever
love
growing.
it,
it's never
love it.
ending.
I think Nier Autonomous. I mean, sure. Do we not need it? No, we don't. But I mean, it's also especially now with how mainstream anime has gotten over the past couple years. I think that's
Yeah.
just another market to catch on, and I think I mean, Aniplex is a good studio. They did like Full Metal Alchemist, a couple of my favorites. Like it's I think is it a need? No. Is it a nice to have? I think it will be. So.
For sure. But last industry news here. Um, Roger, tell us about a little bit about this one here with the GPU prices could fall drastically or dramatically here. What's going to change that? Because we all know the
So,
impossible being of trying
um,
to get one.
Well, right now we're dealing with the fact that the cryptocurrency market may fluctuate. We may see that there could be a drop in mining, with the drop in shortages around the world. We'll now see that when things are moving freely once again, and we don't have these supply chain shortages that everyone claims, we're going to see a little bit better, availability for people.
Hmm.
We have the ability to make them. It's just we can't get them into people's hands right now. And I think, we may or may not see the drop in price, but we're also going to see new graphics cards. The 40 series is on its way at this point.
Hmm.
So we're going to have another new series of cards, and people already bought the 30 series are probably not going to want to move to the 40 series right away, unless they're a diehard who has thousands of dollars that they just want to burn.
No,
Fair.
yeah, for sure.
And Nvidia's been working constantly to try and help fix the cryptocurrency problem by making their graphics cards less and less usable for mining. So hopefully we'll be able to see at this point the mining buy-up really kind of disappear. It's not going to go away forever, though.
Right, and I think in regards to the crypto stuff with the whole Russian-Ukraine incident too, I don't want to bring this up too much, but they own like 15% of the crypto market, and with them being shut
Yep.
off from the world economy and stuff like that, I think that that could also have a big impact on the cryptocurrency market, where again it's gonna just have that domino effect where they're not gonna need those graphics cards because they ain't gonna need to mine them anymore because they have no access to it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
seeing how all this is going to level out is going to be really interesting, especially for the market that we're looking at now. Is going to be something to definitely look either look forward to or dread. I
Yeah,
don't know.
hopefully we'll get
We'll
new
see.
cards and people will be
Yeah,
able to buy them for once.
yeah, just in time for me to spend way too much on my 6900. So
Yeah.
Right.
just in time.
Yeah, like my wife just bought herself a 3050 because they were out and somebody got them, but she paid almost double MSRP for it. So it's like, it sucks if graphic cards do drop in price for the people who just bought their cards, because it essentially you just went and shoveled out all that money for them to go, well, the price is half.
Right.
Yeah,
If you had just waited 3 months, 4 months.
right. Hey, give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back, gentlemen.
Not a problem.
Sounds good.
So, moving on here, we've got the gaming news for this week. Dying Light 2 had updates and improvements, as well as some interesting numbers. Vic, we saw numbers here that the concurrent player count for Dying Light 2 is actually whooping Halo Infinite currently. As of currently, Dying Light 2 has 274,000 concurrent players, whereas Halo only has 272,000. For
Yeah.
a free-to-play game to have less players, a Halo flagship free-to-play game has less players than that of a paid $60 game.
Right.
That is buggy and clunky.
Right. All I know is whatever Techland has done with their advertisements and their marketing, they have a hell of a
It worked.
marketing team because it made people want to buy that game. It made people want to pick that game up because of their marketing. But yeah, going up against Halo Infinite's numbers, and that it did shock me because like Halo Infinite's free to play. But I think what's
Yeah.
also limiting it is they're not on the PlayStation market. Obviously, where Dying Light 2 also captivates the PS5 and the PS4 market, and we both know that
Yep.
that's the biggest console market that's out there. So it's just like the numbers can be slightly skewed in that way, but in the same sense, I'm not knocking Dying Light 2 to have more than Halo. That's phenomenal. I mean, you could just write this off as a successful game. The way it's been selling, it's
Yeah.
been received. It has its issues, but it's fun. It just, I don't know. I think by the time we're done with this game, we'll finally be able to give it its final words. You know.
Yeah, no, I get what you're going for there. I'm just surprised that it's doing so well. Like it's no Elden Ring in terms of players, but it's definitely like, to have 270,000 players playing at one time, and it only comes, I'd say, weeks after its launch, like 3 to 4 weeks after its launch, and it's still holding this strong. Maybe it's those hours did mean something, those 200 hours that we aren't playing. Maybe that was the secret.
Right. I mean, because there are those gamers that like to just buy one game and focus on one game for a long time. Where like me and you were trying to run through games as fast as we can. Maybe not as fast as we can, because we want to be able to still enjoy it. But we're trying to
Well,
play
you
through
want to
games
beat
over
it. You're
quick.
not.
Right. We're trying to beat it.
Yeah,
We're not
we're
trying
not
to.
doing every. Not every side quest isn't getting clicked. The people who tuned into our co-op stream know, they hear you. Hey, let's head towards the main story quest. Let's
Yeah.
let's actually do more actual content.
Yeah, because some of the
It
side stuff,
just
it just felt like I was wasting my time. But like I can see why
Mhm.
some people could be like, "Oh, this is fun," because like I feel like I can role play. I feel like I'm immersed in this world. Like I feel like I have an impact, or like I'm in the world itself. So it's like it's there because there's some of it is just stories, and it's building that story and the lore, whether how small and petty it is. You think about all the world shit that we deal with. There's a lot of nonsense shit that we talk with people about, whether it's work or
yeah.
friends. You're just like, all right, cool story, bro? Question mark? Like, like you don't know. So I mean, maybe it's just
Yeah.
their way of just enjoying a game and just getting fully involved.
No, I agree. So, I think here we should move on to the meat of this week's episode. Nintendo Direct happened this week. Was it this week? Yes.
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, sorry. So with the Nintendo Direct 2 weeks ago, we saw a influx, just a huge amount of games coming. So I think it would be in our best interest. We can kind of rapid fire off some of the topics here, but we can discuss the ones that we really think impact us. But first and foremost, one of the biggest games ever to come out on the Nintendo market, Wii Sports, is now coming to the Switch.
It's
We're
gonna be
getting
so
Switch Sports.
It's gonna be amazing. Can't wait.
Yeah,
Uh,
honestly, I'm excited.
who
What more
doesn't
can I
love,
say?
who doesn't love Wii now Switch Sports?
Yeah.
Especially now with how much better Switches have been with like gesture articulation and things like that, and being able to actually go ahead and get your movements as well as they have been. Can't wait.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. It's one of those games that no matter who you are, you kind of almost heard of it. Like I go to my in-laws and they're like, "Oh, you want to play Wii Sports?" And I'm like, "Not really, but I guess we can." Like they are playing it. They've never played a video game in their life, but they're playing Switch they're playing the Wii Sports. It's an
Right.
interesting one. I'm actually surprised it took this long to get here because we had like the Wii Fit or the Switch Ring and whatever for their other sport games, their activity based ring games.
Yeah, it's really surprising that it has taken this long. I thought for sure this would have been maybe even one of the first to come out with the known success of
Honestly,
Wii Sports.
we had the Wii Sports come out with the console.
Like,
It was shipped with the
yeah,
console. It was a free CD. I'm surprised we didn't get a free game that was Switch Sports.
Right. Already
yeah, it's
preloaded on your
crazy.
console.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you have a 250 gigabyte hard drive, not to include the 25 gigs that are already taken for your entire Switch Sports suite of games.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, it'd have been awesome to just delete it and re-add it whenever you wanted to play it. But
Great.
I'm surprised it took this long. Moving on from the Switch Sports, another big installment here, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is getting a new DLC with 48 additional tracks.
Yeah, that's
Is this what we need right now?
this was
I thought that
interesting.
was a typo.
Nah,
I
it's
saw
real.
that and I looked and confirmed,
Nah, it's real.
and
It's
that's
crazy.
insane.
It's because they're
That is
following the path of success from Smash Brothers, where they like had their like pass where it kept the fighter pass, and it kept releasing like new characters, new maps. Where like it's the same thing. They're releasing new 8 maps at a time over the next
yeah.
2 years until the end of next
Why
year.
why make a new game when you can just sell me redone tracks from old games? Why? Why come up with something new when the old thing worked?
what's really mind blowing though
Exactly.
is we've been covering the news and the rumors about the new Mario Kart that's coming out, whether it's 9, 10, or Crossroads, with a new feature being incorporating other franchises into the franchise for the first time. We're like, and then this drops, so we're like, so we're not getting a new Mario Kart until 2023,
Or
2024.
maybe this is just their way of keeping us busy until then.
Yeah.
As I say, it's to hold you over. It's to give you a little bit, some breadcrumbs. 8
Here.
breadcrumbs to be exact, every so often.
And we talk about how like re-releasing a remastered collection is kind of the prelude. It's always the prelude for a new game to come out because they want to get you hyped back up.
Yeah.
They build hype by selling you hype.
Unless you're Bethesda.
Money. Unless you're Bethesda, then you just re-release the same game, and then not a new one.
Ever.
Yeah.
No, I think
So
that's gonna be awesome. Honestly, the 48 tracks, that's gonna be insane.
I love Mario Kart. I love it. It's a party game that me and all my friends want to do. You know, we play tabletop or card game night, and we want to play something. We would play Smash. We'd play something. But now we're actually gonna play. We're gonna play Mario Kart. Like, it's fun again because we're not playing the same tracks over and over again. And this catalog of tracks is the same, if not, I think it's more than what they currently have in the game.
I think so.
I think the current game now has about 48 tracks, so we are doubling the track count of the game.
That's gonna be crazy.
Right. I think that's pretty cool.
That'd be nutty.
And the thing is, the first batch comes out on March 18th, so we got like 2 weeks until we get the first breadcrumb.
Yeah.
Good deal.
No, I'm excited. And as it being drip fed to us, it means that we can play them a little bit at a time. You're not going to get them all slammed at you and overwhelmed, and then the hype dies down. It's a it's a small dopamine dump of tracks until they're like, and Mario Kart 10.
Yeah, like I think it's gonna be great. I think it'll be a nice a fresh set every once in a while. Is gonna keep you engaged, keep you wanting to go. Everything like that. So
yeah. So next thing here, we have an oldie but a goodie. Advanced Wars 1 and 2, the reboot camp is coming out on April 8th. It is going to be the remastered of both the original Advanced Wars game from the Game Boy Advanced. Do you think this is a prelude for something more? Are we going to see maybe some of the old Nintendo games be rebooted now? Are we going to see maybe an Advanced Wars 3 in the next year?
It's possible.
I definitely think we're gonna see some things coming back up to catch up with the times.
Mhm.
For sure. Now that they have the capabilities to make these games, I mean, being limited by what they had at the time, you can only do so much. And now with the way everything's been going, with the way things have been for the past few years, I'm surprised we haven't seen a little bit more oldies coming up through. Circa, Ocarina of Time, things like that.
Yeah, well, we've seen like Legend of Zelda got the treatment. It was to open world. We got Breath of the Wild, now, and then Pokemon finally took its time to catch up, and we've got the Pokemon Arceus, we've got Pokemon Sword and Shield. What if we get more of these old games that get the modern treatment? So I think this is interesting because we talk about how oldies or like remastered collections, when they come out, are sometimes a prelude to a new game. So maybe this is a hype. I'm excited. I've never played Advanced Wars 1 or 2, and one of my good friends said it was, one of his game defining moments in his life for him. They were a staple for his gaming career, and I'd love to try them. And they're a mobile game for a mobile console. So we're remastering a mobile game and putting it on a console that is also mobile.
Yeah. I think it's perfect.
Because, yeah, I agree. I think it's one of those things where you can play a turn-based strategy game that was designed for a mobile in mind, and you're not playing it on a console where you're stuck in the room just sitting at your screen. You can just go with it, do it on the go. Another game here, we've got No Man's Sky is now being released on Nintendo Switch. We have no date yet, but a 2022 window has been promised. So, either of you getting in No Man's Sky on Switch? Because I'm not.
No, I already have it.
Probably not.
I have it on the PS4 and the Xbox.
Probably not. If I wake up in a cold sweat, and maybe I'll just like download it on my way to the kitchen and just be delirious. But other than that, I really have no plans to get No Man's Sky for the Switch.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just don't think it's
That
gonna
space
run
is going to
well.
be reserved for Advance Wars, and and it's going to be reserved for Switch Sports.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's pretty cool that they're bringing this to another market per se and having just more people play it, because like No Man's Sky is continuing to get updates. Like this game has became like the redemption arc, but it's becoming a true
it's
games
a
of service.
platform.
It's a games of service, like a true definition of that, where it's evolving and adding evolutionary like updates. Like it's not like minor shit like oh like Cyberpunk, which we're gonna get into in a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit. Like oh you can change your look or here's a new apartment you can buy. Like no, no, we can do a lot more than that in No Man's Sky. Like they're just doing a lot, and I'm really excited for the success behind this game. Honestly, it's becoming what
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think
it's becoming what everybody wanted this game to be at launch. It's becoming
yeah,
that, you know.
yeah, and I think that initial launch bad taste is really was the kick in the ass they needed.
Yeah.
Uh, to kind of do the updates, do what they needed to do. The only thing I could really think of, other than how they've been, that would be positive going to Switch is, I mean, the Switch has always been the most affordable console. It's nice, it's easy, you take it anywhere, you can hook it up. The Switch has always been family friendly, affordable, and nice. And I think bringing No Man's Sky to that is going to be nice for people that don't have
What's
PCs or the newest Xbox.
Yeah, and I think the thing that really sucks though for it is when you're playing a mobile console, why get a game that's so intensive as this? A game you want to play on an internet-based system. Why would you want to take it on the go? You know, so
For
I'm
the
feeling as though
it's for
like
the
the Switch,
solo.
I don't like. Yeah, I get you, but I'm I'm thinking it's not going to sell that well, and it's honestly a waste of effort. What isn't a waste of effort, though, Mario Strikers is getting a new game.
Yes.
All right. Have we not been seeing all these Mario sports games and we forgot Strikers didn't get remastered or get a new version in the series?
And here we are with Battle League, man. A new.
My man said, "No Man's Sky, what's that? Have you heard about Strikers?"
Yeah, like I was just saying, like honestly, this is a classic.
Yeah.
I'm No Man's Sky doesn't hold a candle after its bad release and just sort of bad faith that they instilled with people. I'm excited to see a Nintendo game on a Nintendo console. I'm not looking to buy a game that I could buy on any other console.
Right.
You know,
Everybody.
It's fair.
our audiences are going to be that way.
Right. You buy
That's
Nintendo Switch for Nintendo exclusives. You don't buy third-party games
Yeah.
for the Switch.
I
And
think
and so, go ahead.
I think with this now too. I mean I think Friday night or Saturday night parties with Nintendos are back.
Yeah.
They're gonna be coming back.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
Just
the
like
only couch co-op console. It's the
Yeah.
only one. And that brings me to my next point here is this game is an 8-player co-op game. You
Well,
can
the
literally
same console.
max it out.
the
Yeah,
same
well that's the thing.
really
Have you
nuts.
ever played Smash at 8 players? You can. But like that's the crazy thing. We're looking at a game that really is trying to push that fact that this is meant to be a party console. Like 4 players, you know, we never told you, but you could play games 8 players on the Switch. And I think that's fascinating. I think it's awesome that we're going to finally see more games potentially that bring out that player count, that LAN party feel where you have all your guys sitting around in a room playing one game.
Right.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be hectic both on and off screen,
I mean,
for sure.
Look at
But I think it's gonna be the good hectic.
look at your
Yeah.
options now when you have these get-togethers, man. You got Smash, you got Mario Kart 8 with the new update, you got Nintendo Wii Sports, Switch Sports coming out, and you got Strikers coming out now. Like, look at all these great games that you could just play with a whole bunch of friends at one place.
Hell, like even Mario Tennis, it's old, it's a few years old now, but it's a good game. Like I think Nintendo is doing well for the couch co-op model. Like I'm not looking for anything advanced when I'm sitting around playing a couch game with my friends. I'm just looking for a simple game where I can get mad and want to punch my friend over, you know?
How-
And this is it.
How about the golf game that we
Screen
were
looking's
playing?
back.
Yes.
Screen looking's back. Love it.
When we were playing
No,
that
Yeah, no,
the golf game that one time when I stopped over, like that was a lot of fun.
Mario Golf.
Yeah, like
oh man,
Mario Golf. It's so good. No, I'm super excited with this, and I think that is awesome. But talking about games that are having a comeback, Chrono Cross. This is an old, I believe, Square Enix game. Um, we're getting a remastered collection. A collection. It's it's going to be Chrono Cross: The Radical Dreamers Edition. It's coming out April 7th, 2022. It is going to be a remastered of an old but good game.
yeah, this came out.
Is this?
It's a game that came out in '99 on the PS1. I know
Yeah.
it's a cult classic. It was one of the best games on that generation. So I mean, for it to come
Hmm.
back to an audience that probably wasn't even born yet, to be able to enjoy a game like that is going to be great. I personally never played it. It was just, we were still young even when the PS1 dropped, so it was just like it's pretty cool to see this. And maybe there's a new Chrono Cross in the works, like we keep talking about. They're not remaking these
Yeah.
games and bringing them back for no reason. Like that's just not
No,
the
and
structure
that's the
of it.
thing. Like this is before Square Enix too. Is the other thing I forgot to mention. This is Square. This is the company before they became one.
Hmm.
And this is one of those things that we saw released that had that feel of Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, but it pushed in a way that the others did not. I think it had so much more to offer. And for those who didn't get to play it, this is going to be a great way to play it because the game was actually really good. It involved having your screen both forward, back, left, and right, as opposed to just forward and back. It really built it in a way that was very, I wouldn't say isometric, but from an angle over here where you can see and you can move up to move over or
Hmm.
backwards on the screen. I think it was definitely good for the time for us to see a remaster. I'm hoping it's great.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think so as well. I played Trigger, didn't play Cross, played Trigger. That was the same guy who did the story for Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. It was Akira Toriyama.
Mhm.
And didn't play Cross, but I mean, maybe now I'm gonna have a reason to.
Yeah,
I,
and maybe we'll see a new game, as Vic said, and I'm excited if we get a new Chrono game. That'd be awesome.
think a lot of these are just, and this is like my nice optimism conspiracy theories. I honestly think that they're just dropping these in here, seeing who still bites, seeing if they can get a new wave of players, and then they're just gonna drop the hotness on us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that
and
way,
if
if
people
the
aren't
review's
interested,
great,
then it just dies.
then it sticks with the people who followed it since '95, since when they were out there. Now they got their new versions of their old games. And so they're still going to make money on that market, but
Yeah,
if it's great, hit us with the new hotness. I really think so. I think it'll be great. So
no, I agree. And so, talking about hotness that we're getting here, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is now coming out soon. Here, we got a new video for the Kirby game now showing us some new mechanics. One being the mouthful mode.
Boy, did this take off on Twitter, boy. Man, there were so many edits and stuff like that of him just swallowing up anything and everything. Bro, I didn't think I needed that in my life. Like, they
No,
showcased him eating a car. Like, that was fucking hilarious, dude.
yeah. No, I'm excited. This is what I was saying when I was waiting for a new game that was like Mario Odyssey. This is what I want to see. I want to see Nintendo enter a phase where other games have already been, but do it better. And I'm hoping this Kirby game is going to be as good as what I remember on the N64, but better.
Yeah.
I ain't looking for one of those spin-off Kirby games that we've had during the Wii U and the Wii and the Switch era. I'm looking for a AAA Kirby game, and I think we've got it here.
Right. And the fact that we gotta wait what, like a month. I think it's March 25th is the release date for this one. So it's right around the
Hmm.
corner, man. Like this might be one of the first years in a while that the beginning of a year is dropping so many gems, so many hits of games. Like February was bananas. And then March is coming out with a whole bunch of good games, and classics, revivals, new entries, like whatever it is. You're just like, bro, like I don't got time to invest 500 hours into one game.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. Like, we're definitely gonna see things like Dying Light 2, where they're like, "We've got all this stuff for you to do," and it's like, "Yeah, I don't want that shit. I just want to play the story." Oh, well, our story sucks. Well, your rating's gonna suck.
Because also that same day that Kirby releases is Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which is our next co-op game that we're gonna play, and it's just like, bro, like that's two big games on the same day.
Nope, I agree. So,
Survival of the funnest.
Right.
no,
Is
it
really-
really is. It's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
The backlog grows bigger.
Yeah, there's just another. Just put it in the back. Put it right in the back of the back. Yeah, just put it there. Just
For me, I'm getting to get it release day, and I'm probably gonna end up playing it the whole way through. And if there is a co-op like Mario Odyssey, it'll be done in a week because me and my wife are gonna blast through the game like we did with Odyssey. I didn't put the game down, and I'm hoping I get another experience like that. That's what I need right now.
Yeah, Odyssey was a lot of
What
fun.
I don't need right now, though, is Portal being re-released on the Switch with split screen and co-op features. Like,
Again,
why?
a new Portal game? Nah, I don't know.
No.
Do we need a new Portal game?
Well, honestly, I think a new Portal game would be interesting because the way they left off Portal 2 is, you leave the facility. Sorry, spoiler alert for a 20-year-old game,
Well,
15-year-old
Dude.
game.
I was just at that point.
So,
Well,
There is like a new Portal game coming out though. By the way, it's like the Aperture Desk Job. It's a new Portal game. They're putting in quotes. It's coming. It's free on the Steam Deck. It's a very simplistic game. It's not really much of a game, but it's like it's a new Portal game.
yeah, what we need is a real one. It's we don't need some silly game, but we need, we actually want to get a game that Portal is famous for.
Right.
So, I'm not excited to see another Portal game, or the Portal game get ported to the Switch. It's just one of those things. It's third-party games ending up on consoles that they don't need to be on.
Yeah.
And one of those games that's kind of iffy for me is Cuphead. Cuphead DLC. We've got, the release date is June 30th, 2022. It'll be coming out for every console, but we saw some more of it again on the Nintendo Direct. It's going to be on the Switch. Is it what we need right now? Is it what we want? Probably not. But with all these other releases that Nintendo has, it's their chance to just sneak by some ones that aren't as important.
I think I haven't played Cuphead, so honestly, a new DLC means nothing to me. Once again, like you said, going to Switch, I think these are good-hearted grabs at a player base that they couldn't yet reach, but nothing more
Right.
than that.
No, I think it's big though because Cuphead was made only by like one or two people for like a very very small indie studio to finally come to the Switch, we know it's going to be big because how big is the Switch market? It's a really big market now. We know how many Switch consoles. It's the most sold console from Nintendo ever, not including like Game Boys, and Nintendo DS. So there's a lot of people that probably haven't played this game yet, and now it's a very simplistic. I don't want to say very simplistic.
Well, and that's the thing.
How hard
It's
it is.
Cuphead's been on the Switch for a while now, though. That's the thing. It's not like they're just getting it. It's been on the Switch since April of 2019.
Right.
It's just they're getting the DLC like everyone else is day one. I don't know if it's great, but it's just like, yeah, cool. We're getting
maybe
it.
that was proof positive that they had the same following on the Switch, and they're not going to be an afterthought this time, like they were with dropping Cuphead on there after however long it was anywhere else. So I think that kind of speaks a little bit for it, because like you said, Vic, the Switch is the biggest console market. It's especially now with Mario Strikers coming out. With I mean, it's gonna be a good. I like to say this phrase every once in a while when I do it, but you're just throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. So if they throw the Cuphead DLC, they throw the stuff on there and they hit it. Cool. If they don't,
Whatever,
Yeah.
It probably doesn't take that many man hours to really port over the DLC for it. It's just like remap the controls and go for it.
I think that's one of the main reasons why we see so many of the older games being released on the Switch, because the Switch is not that hard of a console to port for. Like it's not that big of a file size, and like you said, all they got to do is just rework the controls, and here's another game adding to the Switch catalog. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the Switch is pretty consistent in how it handles any ports of games as far as graphics and things like that. So it's not not to not to say anything poorly about the Switch because I still think the Switch is amazing.
Hmm.
Uh, but it's almost like it'd be easier because you're kind of porting it down.
Yeah, you're downgrading.
Yeah,
It's not the 4K
I mean,
highest fidelity, 4K
yeah,
60 frames, ray tracing. You're not getting all
exactly,
that. That's not what the
exactly,
Switch is for.
yeah.
yeah.
And
And
I think
so,
so.
no, go ahead.
I think it'll be a good, nice little way to handle a bunch of that shit.
No, I agree. And so, talking about other games that are on the Switch, oldies but goodies, we had a new Metroid game come out this year, and as of this podcast, a new free mode had been released as a DLC, as well as more free updates coming in April. Isn't isn't that good? Like, isn't that what we want to see? Developers continuing to put effort into these games that we love, and we don't have to pay for them. You know.
Yeah, that is really really nice to still give the aftercare to the games that both the games and the players deserve, and not extort the player for it.
Yeah.
I think it's great. That's good on them.
No, I agree. And I think what's interesting is the new mode we got from Metroid Dread is a one-hit kill mode. You get hit once, you lose, which I think is interesting. It's going to definitely bring a lot of life to the speedrun community, I think,
Yeah.
where people are going to want to speedrun, Dread mode runs. I think that's pretty cool. Um, Moving on here, the last two things we have, Earthbound, both games for Earthbound, the first two games in the Earthbound series, were released on the Nintendo Switch and are playable as of today. So if you were a fan of Earthbound, make sure you go check them out. And last but not least, the capstone for the video conference for the Nintendo Direct, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has been announced. It will be out September 2022, which is quite impressive. We're getting trailers for same year from Nintendo. That's the
Yeah,
fun thing. Nintendo's is telling us, yeah, we're not going to tell you something's coming out a year from now. We're telling you it's coming out this year in less than 6 months.
yeah, they really kicked it up with that. Here's your trailer. You're not waiting 2 years for it. Here's your trailer. You give it a couple months, and this you will be playing this game. And they definitely kind of ramped that up, and it's nice to see that for these guys.
Right. And
I
So
think it's really interesting that they don't have to play hype man for their own hype.
their
when you
games
do
speak for
something
themselves.
right, you don't have to.
Yeah, and if you release a trailer, you don't want to have to be like, shit, we have to release a new trailer in 6 months so people don't forget our game's coming out in 2 years.
Now we got to make a game. Shit.
Yeah, now
We
we gotta.
spent,
The
we
game's
spent all,
already made. We're
we
making
spent all
the
the money on
game.
the trailer.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And then so I think the last one of the interesting things we got though this year, one of the keynotes, and I think this is really speaks a lot for what we talked about on the previous episode. I believe that you were actually on with us, Scott, was we talked about cataloging games and digital catalogs and how, what happens when a store closes down.
Yeah,
We
I
talked
think
about this last
we did
time.
talk about that one.
Nintendo announces that the 3DS and Wii U shops are closing 2023.
I know
You'll
it's
be able
it's
to,
the end of an era
yeah,
for
you'll be
sure.
able to download the games still, but you won't be able to buy anything further on those consoles. So when do they stop providing, though, the ability to download the games? That's the interesting thing.
Or just have
When
access to it, because you still need to have access to the store to be able to play the game. Because
Yeah,
it's an online file, like to be able to have that copyright, the licensing to it. So like that's the negative part about going all digital. Like I buy usually most of my games for Xbox on physical copy, but this generation with the Series X, I haven't bought a physical copy, and I went digital. But I was like, what if it gets to a
what
point where
happens?
when they close down the Xbox store, and I no longer have access to any of my games?
Well, but how often are you going to be playing them? You may not even play them. So I think it's an interesting note. We're getting to the point where games may not be played anymore by these people. How often is a game downloaded off the 3DS store? How often do we download a game off the Wii U store?
I think I think that is part of the planned obsolescence model. But it does raise the concern of, maybe the last time you were able to play this game was on your Wii U. Maybe maybe you still want to pick up the 3DS, or maybe you're giving it to like a nephew or a niece or a kid just to play or something like that. Both kind of stretches. But I think as Nintendo keeps moving forward, I could see them having, not just an individual shop anymore, like for a Wii U or a 3DS. I could see if they just have one overarching Nintendo shop, still retain the infrastructure for the availability of downloads for older models, and call that, and then,
Yeah,
kind of
I
solve.
think that's one of the interesting things. We've always only seen a 4 model shop. You've gotten a shop that only is for that device. When you logged into the Nintendo eShop, that device was giving you the shop that it could go on, nothing else.
Yeah, and I think, and it's not that they've done anything wrong. First and foremost, because having individual shops it's nice. You don't have to worry about compatibility issues. You don't have to worry about anything like that.
Or, you don't have to look at games that you can't play.
Yeah. Sure. But I think, especially now with as things move more towards like cloud services and stuff like that, which is a lot of driving force behind these digital games and digital only. I think a nice little revamp of the store based off of account and things like, okay, I'm playing on this model, kind of like how they do with a lot of like the Xbox now. Like if there's a backwards compatible mode like version of that game, you can play it on your new one. You just go get the old version.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the way to go here. And yeah, it's definitely going to be the end of an era, but hopefully this will kind of be a catalyst for them to get a lot more user friendly as they move to digital only cloud and user accessibility of especially things that they've purchased, because that's another issue is that people have bought this, people have paid the money for this, and they're still going to need to find a way to make sure that it is still available to the person that paid for it.
Yeah, because what happens when you finally, when do they close the store? Because they say now you can't buy anything, but when do they finally say you can't download either?
Yeah. Or like you can't download, you can't access, no old save data, you can't transfer old save data, things like that. I think as they merge where and how they're storing these, I think that's really going to provide more of the answers of when do you shut down a store, or are we going to get to the inevitability that there's not going to be a shutdown of a perpetuating store that will now exist.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys brought it up. My main point that I wanted to cover was it really comes down to is like, do you really own the game, or am I just paying like a subscription service to the game until you tell me I no longer have access to it? As opposed to like when I buy the physical copy of the game, like you think about it, I can play a Nintendo 64 game, physical cartridge, whenever I want. I can still go hook up my
As
Nintendo
long as
64. I can, as long as it's still obviously the system works. It's going to play my game at any given time. So it's not like there's no issues with that. As
you
opposed
didn't
to
lease it.
right, as opposed to the store where like now like I'm relying on your service for me to be able to play my game that I bought. When does it become?
Am I
Did I buy
leasing
it
it
or
a
did I
video
lease it?
game now?
I think that's the
and
issue.
I promise I won't stay on a soapbox too long about this, because that sentiment there is what kind of pissed me off about the digital only for a while. Because not only is it making it harder to just open up your closet, go dust out, Star Wars Pod Racer, who knows,
I got
whatever.
that one.
You get in an argument with a friend, and next thing you know, you're busting out the GoldenEye, but you can't, do that if you don't have access to the games in which you. There it is. I'm telling you, Star Wars Racer. It's still a great game. It holds up. That's all I'm saying is it holds up.
Or Blitz.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But you can do that, and you can't do that now. And not only that is, you're still paying the full price. Game prices have only gone up, and you're not walking out of the store with a copy of your game.
Yeah.
You are going, clicking, downloading, and you're just bringing in all this logic and code, and the inability to do so if they shut anything down, especially access. It's not you. You're right when you talk about that, Roger. You're not leasing the game. You bought that shit.
Yeah,
You know, you're not.
and that's the
Nobody,
thing. The buttons,
GameStop's
you
not
go onto
hitting
Amazon.
Star Wars racers.
You go onto Amazon, you go onto any of the digital marketplaces. It says buy. It doesn't say lease. It says buy. So that means I own it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I never read the 30,000 pages of terms and service, but there may be something in there that says you're leasing the game. I don't know, but I don't know.
You
know,
just hit
there's-
accept.
Yeah. Ugh,
Scroll,
know.
scroll. Accept.
So well,
Checkbox, accept.
Yeah,
it would be bold of us to assume that something like that isn't in there in the event of a store shutdown, of non-availability of game, non-availability of the digital content. I'm sure there's something in there, but then again, and just like you, Roger, I didn't read it. I hit accept when I download that stuff because I want to play it now, not next week when I'm done reading it.
Before. Yeah.
So I could say with reasonable confidence, there's probably something in there like that, but that doesn't mean it's okay. I mean, that doesn't mean that people aren't going to be pissed. Maybe people have. We all got comfort games, comfort movies, stuff like that. So maybe somebody's comfort game is down on their Wii U.
Right. And
I mean, sorry for them.
Right.
Because it's a Wii U, but anyway.
Yeah, my last thought on this before we move on, because we had a little bit more to get to, but my thinking behind this too is like these markets, the 3DS and the Wii U shops, were like one of the first early stages of the digital market, and maybe this might have been before the time where people were buying more digital as opposed to physical. So like during these ones closing down may not have a big of an impact, but what about 10, 20 years down the road when we're looking at the PS4, the PS5, the Xbox One, Series X market? Those marketplaces closing down and no longer having access to them? Or is this, again, one unified store where you have access to it at all times? I think when we get to that point, that's when stuff is going to be more serious because most people, I think it's 80% or more people buy their games digitally now as opposed to physical copies. So it's going to impact more people at that time as opposed to these two who bought a game on a 3DS online store. I don't even think I've ever connected my Switch, or I mean the 3DS to the internet ever.
I think I did. I might have bought one on either the Wii U or the 3DS.
I can understand
one game.
the Wii U. The Wii U was different. That was like an early Switch, but like the 3DS, probably not.
Gotta get those software updates.
Because the 3DS,
Gotta get those software.
the 3DS, the 3DS, you're playing on the go probably 90% of the time, so you're never going to be connected to Wi-Fi to play those games anyway. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like a console to buy games.
Yeah.
Digitally.
No, I agree. I think we should move on here to the last bit of the Nintendo news. This came out of left field today. Pokemon presents Scarlet and Violet. They're releasing November of this year. What do you think? Are we ready for a new generation of Pokemon again?
Yeah, Call of Duty Johto is gonna be awesome. I'm happy to see them just keep kicking, saying they're just rushing like clockwork. As an old school Pokemon guy, I kind of lost a lot of interest after like generation 3 or 4.
Yeah.
When we hit Black White, I was like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, it was. I mean, reasonably, nobody would at this point. If you're hitting half, you're great. You got a killer memory, or you're just very dedicated. I know a couple people that are very dedicated.
Like I still buy the cards, and I'm collecting the cards, and I'm opening the packs. And I'm like,
who the fuck is this?
Is this even real?
Who threw up in my booster pack? What the hell?
Like, there's a Pokemon that's like a set of keys, like card keys, and I'm like, bro, like this isn't a Pokemon, bro. Like,
oh my god, yeah, they're getting a little weird, but I mean, I think that's their curse a little bit. And what I mean by that is they're gonna need to keep kicking shit out. Because there's gonna be people that are gonna keep wanting to play it and keep wanting this and keep wanting
money.
new.
It's money gum.
Yeah. Because I mean, they don't really have. I mean, at least up until these last couple releases, they haven't really had anything that was different than normal. I mean, sure they added some 3D, they added some stuff like that, but
Sword
now
and
you got your
Shield were a
open world.
defining moment,
Yeah, and
and that came a while after the last Pokemon game. We
and
saw Omega, Ruby, and Sapphire, nothing new.
yeah, but I think now, especially with the success of the latest release, as far as like I've seen excellent user reviews, I've seen a bunch of people just talking about it.
Hmm.
I think they're just gonna have to keep shitting it out to keep up
Honestly,
with the people that want it.
Pokemon Arceus right now, the Legends of Arceus, it's got a 92% rating on Google, 4.5 on Amazon. We're looking at quick reviews. It's doing phenomenally. It's doing 80 to 90%. And that's what they're doing. They said, well, Sword and Shield did okay, and then Arceus did amazing. Well, if we continue to evolve this model that we used for Arceus, is it the right direction? It's kind of what Pokemon fans wish Pokemon always was.
Right.
And it's given a lot of new life to that franchise, in a sense of they finally got something it's outstanding. Like
Yeah.
the player base is in love with this game, and they're gonna ride that new hype again, and then plenty of people that are probably picking up a Pokemon game for the first time based off of what they've been hearing and what they've been seeing with the kind of like open world concept that they're handling,
Hmm.
circa Breath of the Wild. Looks kind of fantastic. I think we're gonna see more new announcements, kind of like clockwork.
Right. And I'm
Yeah.
just surprised that this was announced and it's releasing so soon because we just got Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which I'm in the middle of playing right now, and it's just like at least that Brilliant Diamond and Pearl was probably like the original Diamond and Pearl was probably the last Pokemon game I played serious. So this is a game that I can have familiarity with. That, like it's not open world because sometimes open world games can be overwhelming, and these games are probably played by kids. So kids don't want to explore and do all
Yeah.
this extra shit. Like they just want to
And
play a game and have fun, you know. So like Brilliant Diamond and Pearl was the classic play, and then they introduced Legends of Arceus, which is a completely different take on Pokemon, and this probably catered towards more of our generation of gaming, as opposed to
Uh,
the newer ones. But it gave those kids that are playing Brilliant and Diamond a different take on Pokemon, and then now taking it to a new generation. Like, hey, this is your generation that you're gonna grow up with. This is Gen 9. They look weird already. Hopefully it's fun. Hopefully it's cool.
yeah, no,
yeah,
I think at this point, there's always new kids entering the gaming market, and I think, that's what they're doing. They're just trying to grab another generation of gamers. And
yeah.
so it looks cool and all, but I don't know how excited I am for it. Moving on here, though, talking about Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, they're adding Shaman, which is one of the legendary Pokemon that was released after the original release of the game. Um, we're gonna see that Pokemon drop. Pokemon Go is going to be adding all Lowland region Pokemon on March 1st, and Pokemon Legends of Arceus is getting a DLC today. It's Daybreak. So, I think Pokemon has entered the point where it's Call of Duty. We're getting regular updates. We've got tons of games. We've got Pokemon Home where you can keep all your Pokemon across all the games. Just like you do with Call of Duty, you have your account across all the games. I think we're getting to the point where Pokemon is a way of life and not a video game.
No, yeah, for
Fair,
sure.
absolutely fair.
And because like
So
and the thing is, there was so much more content that was at this event today too. They were talking about like Pokemon Unite and like all the other small Pokemon games. They brought new content to those too. Like there's so many different ways to be a part of the Pokemon universe. It's insane. Like this Pokemon has
oh
like a
yeah.
game in every genre, probably more than likely.
Hmm.
Well, it's a giant. I mean, it has been for quite some time, but I think with all of this stuff, they're kind of owning that role. Like we know that Pokemon's a giant. You can't talk to anybody our age, plus or minus 15 years, without
Without talking
without
about it.
without talking about Pokemon at any point. And I can't wait till the inevitable day where it's like we're not boomers, millennials, Gen Xers, all this good stuff. We're just gonna be Gen 1 Pokemon. We're gonna be Gen 2, 3. That's it. Which one was your generation? Generation 9. Oh my god, I'm old. But it's nice to see them kind of kick all this out now, and basically kind of step into the role that they really already were.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, because like we've been talking, it's kind of like Call of Duty, but Call of Duty has been a video game giant for years, and they've known it. And it's nice to see these, like, they're just kicking out all this content, which is gonna be great. Except for Lola forms, don't like that. Whatever. When
Well,
ex-
every game now has had forms to their.
when
Pokemon,
Executor
so-
was a dragon type and Charizard still wasn't, I didn't care anymore.
Right.
I
But
didn't care anymore.
But talking about like how big and how known Pokemon is, like it really hit me how big Pokemon was when Pokemon Go first came out, and like it captivated the whole entire world, and like I couldn't walk around anywhere with my phone out because they were assuming that I was playing Pokemon Go. They were like, "What team are you, bro?" I'm like, "What?"
I'm looking for my Uber, man.
for my Uber.
But
My food's supposed to be here, but they just keep saying something about a Charizard.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
what's going on.
I don't get it. God, I'll never forget when that finally dropped, and you had thousands of people just playing together, like people. And I think the tried backlash from some people was like, oh, I just saw two people that were out 3 in the morning on their phones playing that Pokemon Go. Like, well, what were you doing out at 3 in the morning other than staring at two people playing Pokemon Go?
Exactly.
Like,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. It's like the guy sitting there in the window, just looking out, like, look at them having fun without me.
Damn kids. But
Damn
no,
kids.
it was great. I think that was a big wake up call. I mean, I would go so far to say that maybe Pokemon Go is the catalyst for a lot of this.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
brought a lot
Really
of hype back to
seeing-
the series for sure.
Yeah, really seeing how many people, like, even just getting back into it, and newcomers and things like that.
I think it birthed the idea that Pokemon side games are okay.
Yeah.
You know, we had
It's not
Pokemon
Pokemon
Rangers, you know, we had Pokemon Dungeons, we had
Yeah.
all these other games that, you know, we had them for a little bit and then they disappeared. And then we just had a staple Pokemon game every 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah, and then this came out. This came out, and next thing you know, you have, anywhere of double digit to triple digit people hanging out in one area. Somebody's got their boombox. People got hammocks. Like, people are doing this. They're hanging out at Pokestops, and everyone's just kind of like doing it. And you've really got to see physically how many people love the franchise. To get a real good idea, or maybe just press and boot in the ass to keep moving forward until eventually we get a release announcement, DLC, like just more content than I think we've seen Pokemon put out in one time
Oh yeah.
in a while.
Yeah,
if
Nintendo just went
ever.
like this and just said, "Here's everything we got. I hope y'all are around for a long time because we got so much shit coming out for y'all." That's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
But moving on though, away from Nintendo, let's get on the PlayStation news. They announced a PS5 beta for adding voice commands, so you'll be able to like trigger it with like, "Hey PlayStation." To me, this is like this is like 10 steps backwards because like Xbox tried to do this and got so much backlash. Like, I miss that feature. Like,
Getting
Xbox,
flashbacks here, man.
right? Xbox record that, or Xbox do this, and like that was so dope to be able to talk to my Xbox. And people were like, "Oh no, that's stupid. What are you doing?" And PlayStation's like, "Man, we'll just do it 10 years later." Like.
Well, I think the thing you're missing here is Xbox did it before we had, hey, Alexa, hey, Google, hey, Siri. They were doing it on the precipice, the beginning of all this. And everyone's like, I don't want it listening to me all the time.
Right.
Hey Google, stop. So I actually have it right next to my it's right
Yeah.
here.
Oh, okay.
And so when you said that, both my phone and my Google Home went off, and I was like, "Here we go."
And
But-
and that's the thing. People didn't want stuff listening to them, but now everyone's okay with it.
Right now.
Well, it's not like we have a
hands-free.
choice anyway. Might as well use it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, but even then, to go off of that same sense, is you just said those words, and both my phone and my Google Home just went off and started responding. So I think if there is a silver lining to them doing this, because I would definite flashbacks to like the Xbox Connect, everything like that. Just the mess. But I think it was a mess because it might have been a little bit too far ahead. It was ambitious at the time,
And
and now them doing it, 10 years late. I think that's kind of okay, and that's kind of gonna be okay because there's been so much improvement in that. The voice command system in the way that people do voice commands that I think they'll be able to integrate that.
Society has come to accept it. It's
Yeah.
a part of society. It's not a burgeoning technology, because that's the thing. If you're new, people don't like new things.
Yeah.
If you're joining on a wave of stuff that's already accepted, well, I'm going to be happy. It's going to be convenient if I can just sit there with my PS5 controller and just say, okay, open Sekiro. There we go. Boom, it's open. Open Ghost of Tsushima. Boom, it's open.
Because it's crazy, because I actually still use it with my Xbox, but Xbox decided to take a different route where, like, Xbox made you have a Connect to be able to do that kind of stuff. And then, then they built it into the headset, and then that kind of didn't work because it was trying to pick up your audio with the audio that you were trying to give commands to. That didn't really work. And then now that they just use, because they know everyone has an Alexa, a Google Home, or whatever it is, you can connect those speakers to your Xbox now, and that's what I do with my Google. So when I come home, it's just like, okay, turn on Xbox One in the living or Xbox in the living room. It goes, okay, turning on Xbox now, doo-doo-doo, and it'll turn it on. And it's pretty cool to have that ability to be able to just turn it on and off instead of finding the controller or whatever it is when you just want it to turn on right away.
Well,
I do that when I
boots
stay like
up.
home. Yeah, like I'll say, "Hey, I'm home." It'll turn my lights on, my Xbox on. Like having the Xbox there ready for me while I'm making dinner, reheating something, getting ready. Absolutely, I can yell at it to pause. Like I barbecue sauce my fingers and just be like, "Hey, yo, pause my Xbox real quick," and it will.
Yeah.
And it's great. I think PlayStation coming in with that is, I mean, it's about time, and it's kind of convenient.
It's an Apple move.
As long as they.
Day late and a dollar short, but just wanted to wait until it was ready.
Yeah. So as long as they don't do 5G, we'll be fine, right?
Yeah. And so moving on here from PlayStation voice commands to PlayStation VR, we just gotten the announcement that PlayStation VR 2, we got a first look, we see what the specs are, we see what it looks like. Is this the future of gaming finally coming out again? Like, are we going to finally see a more adoptive strategy for VR?
Yes, but I think that I think we'll see VR as the prominent way to play games eventually, which is kind of a bummer because you're still so limited. But I think that's going to come at a lot of pain for everybody who will be helping these companies pioneer this, and VR's kind of hit or miss with me. Like there's some like cool, you don't stand in one spot, like Beat Saber and things like that. I'm interested to see how they're going to work it into a PlayStation and still keep just how much you can do in a lot of their games.
Yeah.
And get that into a VR sphere where you can do all that with. I mean, you can already do it with just two hands, but now, moving how to incorporate that into there and go from it to make
like
it feel
for PC,
like you're just
it works great. That's the thing. I think if we look at PC, the VR landscape is turning up. It's looking really good. And I think this actually, I'm going to take the opposite position and say I think they're not going to be the early adopters, but they're going to be the ones to help move PlayStation ahead of Xbox. They're going to be the ones who help. This is what PlayStation needs to do to get ahead of Xbox. This is how they win their shares back in the market. Sure. Yeah. I think this might be finally the ability for them to get the commonplace VR. We're seeing the Quest 2 is cheaper than the Quest 1 was at launch. We're seeing new, cheaper options if you want to do VR. Meta is adopting, Meta is building their VR systems, a new headset for the metaverse, I wouldn't buy one. I'd buy their Quest instead of the Meta. Yeah. But, and even Microsoft, the only VR thing Microsoft has right now is a business class $4,000 pair of glasses.
HoloLens,
for $4,000. It's a little too much. So I think this is where the future of gaming is going to go, and I think it has to happen at some point. And I think it's going to take PlayStation to put it there because PC gaming's already there, kind of. I think this is a way to make it consumer friendly.
Oh, for sure. Making it affordable is going to be as more affordable is going to be the biggest step that they can take right now, and that's I think they'll be able to do it after first launch and see how they go.
Right.
All right. So finishing out here with PlayStation, we've got our PlayStation Plus March games. We've got Ark Survival Evolved, Team Sonic Racing, and Ghost of Tsushima Legends. So this isn't the whole standalone game of Ghost of Tsushima. This is literally only the multiplayer version of the game.
Yeah, I think it's a solid 3 games. I mean, Ark is a pretty successful game. It keeps getting continuous updates, and with Ark 2 coming out.
Well, it's getting a new game coming out, yeah.
Ark 2 is coming out. Team Sonic, I mean, racing, I mean, who doesn't like a Sonic and who doesn't like racing games? So it's a fun party game that you can have on your PlayStation if you don't own a Switch. Ghost of Tsushima Legends, this is a great way to introduce you to the game, its franchise, if you don't own the actual main game, but you can just play competitively in a multiplayer environment.
Well, it's not competitive. It's co-op. It's Ghost of Tsushima co-op. You each take a different aspect of the ghost, and whether you play as like a ranger, the only one that isn't like part of the normal story is like a monk where you can heal your teammates, but it's interesting because it takes some of the mechanics that you played the game and then it puts them in different classes so that you can kind of play these high mythical adventures as opposed to a little more grounded in reality.
I think it'll be a great game to have up and play when you have Scarlet and Violet come over after work.
Scarlet and Violet, the Pokemon strippers.
The Pokemon strippers. It's the price of Pokeballs nowadays. Let's be honest. Okay.
It hasn't changed. It has always been the same. Actually, that is one of the craziest things. The anti-inflation strategy
they
of
obviously
the Pokemon
have control
universe,
over their lithium mines and everything like that. But now you got people like Scarlet and Violet got to go out because they got Pokemon to feed. You know, got to get them rare candies. Got to go after it.
It's gonna be crazy.
You got to do what you got to do.
So, moving across the pond here, let's look at Xbox. Xbox is supposedly reintegrating Twitch streaming with the new beta version of the Xbox platform. Finally,
to come back, when Twitch was always on Xbox, it still is, even with before this, but it was so hard to use.
It's just you can stream.
Well, no, you can always stream from the Xbox through Twitch, no matter what. But it was difficult because you would have to launch the app, set up the stream, launch the stream via the Twitch app specifically. Where now I can just go right to the guide, hit start stream, and I'm in the game. I don't gotta go to the app. I don't gotta go do all that extra stuff and load up the app, go back to the game. It's too much. So
the integration.
It mainstreams. It mainlines everything. Versus they took it away when they introduced Mixer to us. Whenever they had Mixer, that was the big thing, and then that fucking folded, and then they didn't have anything.
Yeah. Mixer was a dream and a dumb one. They should have just stuck with Twitch. But it's nice to see that they have the integration back and it's much more user friendly. It never affected me to begin with, just because, I mean, if I was gonna stream, I have my PC here. Right. But I know a lot of people that were really kind of really bummed with that.
Right. Because I want to start streaming from my Xbox now too. If I'm going to be playing games from there, even with or without a camera, just so people can play it, and then I can just save my streams and just edit those videos at a later time, so I can do it from my Xbox or my PC at any given time.
Yeah. No, I think that's what we want. It's finally the fact that it's finally back, I think, goes to show Microsoft can't do it all. And that's it. It's, they tried it. They tried their own streaming platform, and we saw how it failed. It's, I think Microsoft has learned that they do what they can do, and they shouldn't keep trying to branch out into new enterprises that may or may not be successful. Why go whale hunting?
Go buy them.
Yeah. No, exactly. Buying Amazon. Yeah, let's go buy Amazon.
Well,
Amazon's going to buy Twitch.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
so,
but
All right. Last thing in the Xbox field here, we've got the March games with gold. None of these are appealing to me, but I don't know about you guys. The
Got to be the
Flame
SpongeBob
in the
Truth or Dare.
Flood,
It's got to be the
Street.
SpongeBob Truth or Dare for me.
Yeah. Number 4, I like. Street Power Soccer is number 2. Sacred 2 Fallen Angel is number 3. And last but not least, SpongeBob's Truth or Square.
It's gonna be. I'm telling you, between the Switch, having all these new fun party games, and then after everything's all said and done, everyone's been boozing a little bit. Where it's
It's
SpongeBob
time for
Truth or
SpongeBob.
Square. It's you gotta see who your real friends are at that point. That's gonna be the game. It's gonna be the go-to.
No, yeah.
Oh, it's just
Games of Gold is just a laughing stock at this point. Like, all right, cool. Here's some more games you add to your catalog, your collection that you own,
Yeah.
if you do own at the end of the cycle.
well, and and it's the thing, like Truth or Square actually came out in 2009 and it was a DVD video game.
Oh boy, that's
It
pretty long
originally
ago.
came out as a DVD that you could play in like a DVD player.
Interactive DVD games, a lost art. A lost art.
Lost for a good reason.
For sure. But moving on here to our last little bit of gaming news, Call of Duty though, Call of Duty 2022 is already been confirmed. It is a sequel to the 2019 Modern Warfare, and it will also come with Modern or Warzone 2. And they're both being made on a new engine from the ground up. And apparently, this is actually legitimate because we've heard this before. Oh, it's a new engine. It's a new engine. No, it was always an engine that was modified. No, this is a brand new engine that they're making it, and I'm super excited because I don't think Infinity Ward has ever failed at making a Call of Duty game. That's just my personal opinion because all the Modern Warfares were good. Ghost was fun. Even Infinite Warfare was generally fun with the whole jumping around backpack bullshit. So, and then 2019's Modern Warfare. Again, a lot of fun. That was probably my most played Call of Duty in the last 3 years. And with the sequel coming out, I'm super excited. But what's standing out to me is Warzone 2. We talked about the rumors, Roger. Is this what they need to do? Is this their restart to get, because they have too much going on with Warzone? Is this their way of getting a blank slate?
Honestly, Warzone, I think, has gone under the radar lately. I don't hear as much from it anymore. It's lost its hype train. If they're gonna come back, they're gonna have to do it in a great way because they really floundered here with the new Call of Duty game that came out. You know, Vanguard flopped and they built Warzone to be Vanguard's, the battle royale for Vanguard. And I think that was the problem. They had to backpedal, even though they destroyed the map. They had to backpedal, right?
Right.
So
They destroyed the map, and then they destroyed it when they were making it because it's also still not good.
yeah,
Yeah. So Vanguard was not awesome. I didn't even buy it. Didn't even bother.
didn't even look at it.
Been playing Warzone. I still play Warzone. That's still my go-to game when I come home and just want to like chill and relax. Um, it's it's not as clunky as it was when it first came out. They did some good things with it, but I will take the stance that this will be their chance to actually clean slate
try
everything,
again.
especially with the new engine. And I think that the depending on how the new engine works, it could be a boon for them, because there's a lot of people that still love the game, but they're pissed off at it because it can't load on their Xboxes. Things. I mean, right now we're still dealing with one of the things where you got like a 5 second freeze randomly. That was one of the newer issues that happened. And I think once they just get rid of the bones of the game and they get a better foundation and engine behind it, I think we'll see a bigger resurgence, pun intended, in players as it comes
Yeah,
out. So
I think they can challenge Fortnite once again with a new Warzone because we have to get something better. Players are starting to get tired of copy pasted garbage.
Right,
yeah,
and you know what
That's
also players are tired of are yearly releases of Call of Duty, and it's already been confirmed that Call of Duty 2023 will be actually delayed. It's not coming out in 2023. So next Call of Duty 2022, one after that 2024. It'll be the first time ever that we skipped a year in Call of Duty history since I think the last
good.
time before we didn't have a year of Call of Duty was 2000. 4, I think it was. It's been a long time. So
And
this
and who
this is
knows?
big.
This could be a decision from Microsoft. Microsoft could be saying, "Let's save the series. We don't need a release every year."
Right.
And
This
stop
could be
pushing shit out.
behind doors talks,
I
Yeah.
We're going to buy you. We need you to make some changes.
right.
Yeah, and I think they're between Microsoft getting them taking the reins, saying no, like they're gonna do a better job. Between that, the new engine,
Mhm.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense to not force something out, especially with all of the bad press that they've been getting for shit that they've been pushing out for the past how long.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and people have been so fed up with it. So yeah, take the time. Work on yourself, sis. Get in there, make a better game, and make something that people are gonna be happy they waited a little bit longer for. Like, people aren't pounding the door. I mean, some people are. The real diehards are pounding the door every year, just like others are for, Madden and MLB and stuff like that. But I think I'm hoping the time is well
Well,
spent.
and I think the people who play competitively will be happy to know that they don't have to relearn a new Call of Duty game every year.
Yeah.
Because tournaments are going to follow whatever is newest.
Yeah.
I assume most Call of Duty tournaments are either Warzone or Vanguard. You're not
Got it.
dealing with older Call of Duty games because you're spreading out your player base. So I think with us taking a little bit longer, it gives us a chance to really keep the player base, make it more competitive, because Call of Duty isn't as big of an esport as many other things. You don't really hear about Call of Duty esports. You hear about Valorant, you hear about all these big games, you hear, Overwatch was big, yeah, but we never hear the Call of Duty World Championship, the
Yeah.
Warzone World Championship. We hear the Fortnite World Championship. We hear, those things. So I think this gives us a chance to really help build that content back.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
And
Absolutely.
I'm excited that they're also picking Modern Warfare. Let's call it Modern Warfare 2, the game where they're going to give 2 years of life to, because like I really wish there was 2 years of life for the Modern Warfare of 2019, because that game was a lot of fun. That was when they introduced gunfight, the 2v2 mode. That was a lot of fun. I played countless hours on that. The regular multiplayer was a lot of fun. The way it looked, the way it felt, it was great. There was nothing wrong
Yeah.
with that game, honestly, and the game worked. There was no bugs.
But you had to downgrade because Call of Duty said so.
Right, new Call of Duty releases. Who wants to play Modern Warfare anymore? I got to move on to Cold War if I want to play new Call of Duty, and then that was garbage. Then let's move on and play Vanguard, and that's even worse. That's garbage. That's on fire. So it's just like, and I got tired of Warzone. Like we were playing Warzone every day, and it just got to the point like, yeah, can't do it, can't do it.
Yeah, you and me were playing when you first started getting into the PC game, and we were playing, Warzone. You would hop over to your console for a little bit, and we started to reconnect and play games again.
Hmm.
And then after a while, we were like, "Why are we doing this? This is garbage."
Yeah.
It
It
didn't
was,
feel good. And then finding cheaters everywhere.
and it
Hopefully,
only
with
got
this new
worse.
engine, we can really help fix that cheating problem, because a lot of other games have solved it.
I really
Yeah,
don't
and Ricochet didn't really do
what it said it was gonna do.
much. I mean, they can ban whoever they want. They can, they can destroy my eardrums with the new Ricochet loading screen, but it doesn't change the fact that still in lobbies you're gonna see just straight snap twos head for heads. Like it's you're gonna see wall shots, everything like that.
Yeah.
And hopefully, like you're saying that, like you said, this engine really needs to find a way to take care of that. And they need to be able to figure out and mop up the mess that they've been having for so long when other people have already had that stuff taken care of.
Right.
No, I agree. So I think we should move on here from Call of Duty, and let's talk about another dumpster fire. Cyberpunk 2077 had its next gen release on February 15th. And we now got a new roadmap here for the 1.5 update and what's to follow. We finally got our game. 2 years later, we finally got Cyberpunk 1.0.
The
Right.
taste is still there.
Right, and I'm loving
Taste
it
is still there.
because when Cyberpunk first came out, I played it about 20 hours, wasn't even close to even touching the surface of the game, and I was just like, I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until the next gen comes out, and I have revisited since, and I've been playing it ever since March or February 15th, and I'm loving it. every ounce of the game. It
Mhm.
looks even more beautiful than what was before. The city is actually more like there's just more life in the city. Like there's more people, there's more cars. They actually respond to shit now. Like if you shoot randomly, like they're gonna scatter. The cars are gonna take off. Like everything is responsive. Like everything has a meaning. Everything
Yeah.
has a purpose. Stories feel connected, and they cleared up the map. Holy fuck! They allowed you to filter the map now. Like so, instead of being bombarded by a billion icons on the map, you can filter out what you want to work on, what you don't want to work on. They changed some of the icons so they're more accurate and representative, representational. So it's like they did. This is what Cyberpunk should have been when it released. You should have just delayed the game until
Well,
it was ready.
and and what's crazy is we still don't have a lot of the content that was supposed to be in the game. We see things that they scrapped, and we're like, what the hell? We're getting independent developers who are doing a better job modding the game than they are themselves. Like, the whole metro system that we were
Yeah.
supposed to get to be able to go around the city.
Hmm.
It took a modder to rebuild that, and he did it in a few weeks. He rebuilt the entire tram system with stations, a whole system that it works. That was something that would have breathed life into the game,
Right. Instead,
but
they
we
just
didn't
said
get this.
no. They just added fast travel kiosks.
Yeah, exactly. And it was one of those things. It's like, well, why do we need a fast travel kiosk? And like, even when you fast traveled, we saw things that they were planning for the fast travel, but we really didn't get those same effects.
Right. Yeah, I mean, hopefully this game continues to build and it has its redemption arc. I mean, it's doing really well. It's brought a ton of life back into the game. A lot of people have been going back to it. The reviews, the re-reviews, I guess, of the game have been very, very positive. It's a very positive game now. So, I mean,
I just hope it's not a mass Stockholm syndrome sort of thing,
Yeah,
where you've been taken captive by this dog shit game for how
2
long?
years.
Now they finally put up things that should have already been there, and they're like, oh my god, they're finally doing
Wow,
something.
you did so good. This
yeah.
is great. Thank you for all your work putting in these past 2 years. You mean the things that they should have done for the past 8?
Right.
I mean, once again, I still didn't have a lot of problems with the Cyberpunk 2077,
Right.
but
Like, it was
things
100% playable for me.
yeah, but watching the world burn, to say that was a dumpster fire would have been disrespectful to both dumpsters and fires. Absolutely.
Yeah.
For everyone else, I was fine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
that was
I
definitely
agree.
heartbreaking to see.
I talked to people who were on PlayStation, and just you could have filled whole gallon jugs with their tears over the fiasco that it was.
Yeah, the
So
PlayStation
I'm
version
glad
was
to
awful.
finally see that we're getting what we wanted.
Right. I'm super excited for the future of Cyberpunk. I'm very invested in the story, and I'm like my girl was watching me play the other day, and she don't really watch me play games, and she was like, "Well, like this shit's fucked up. This shit's crazy. This shit's weird." And like just
Yeah.
it was crazy. And I got to the point where I showed her like I can have sex with basically whoever too, and it's just like, oh, like I was like, yeah, you can do whatever the fuck you want in this game, for real. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
And then you slept on the couch that night.
No.
And then
You stared
Yeah,
just
no.
a little too hard
No,
at the
'cause-
TV while you're
no,
like,
'cause-
"Hey, watch this."
No, because she was enjoying it too, because she was just like, oh wow, like damn, you can really do that, and she was like nitpicking like, oh, they're not doing good enough or something like that. It's like, yo.
Yeah, I know. And
The stamina.
I really wish though that we would have gotten the multiplayer. I wished we would have some multiplayer. The past 2 years we were waiting for single player experience. So people who may have beaten the game or played the game like myself,
Are you
I don't
gonna
want to go back to it right
yeah.
now.
Right.
Especially
Yeah.
not especially if it's still gonna be single player.
Mhm.
I mean that they jacked up the timeline because if they would have just
Yeah.
done this shit from the beginning, they could have been introducing multiplayer.
Yeah.
And now if this game's even relevant in another 2 years, I mean maybe, probably
Yeah.
not.
Because it's definitely not going to be a platformer. So, I think we should keep moving on here to the last few topics. Big release notes talking about esports earlier. Street Fighter 6 just got announced.
Nice.
Is that something that excites you guys? Because I'm honestly like I'd never played a Street Fighter game, like truly played, and I wouldn't mind getting on the ground up on one of these.
I've never walked away from a Street Fighter game.
Mhm.
I mean, it's exactly what it is. It is a fighting game. It is a solid fighting game. It's one that's been around for a long time. They knew they knew for in the first 3 what to do, how to do it, and they've been doing that since, and they've still kept
They
people.
haven't mixed up the genre too much either.
Yeah.
That's the thing. All these other games are like, let's keep adding new stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
excited. It's supposed to be coming out this year, summer 2022. So be on the lookout for that.
That's a
But
perfect
Vic, I'm
release
gonna let you take over here.
Yeah, I just
Huh?
want to get some thoughts on Street Fighter real quick. Like, that's a perfect release
Yeah.
time because the summertime for video games isn't really big. Like, that's usually like your catch-up time, your catch-up period, like on anything that you missed, and not really many games released. But like Street Fighter is like a fun game that you don't have to invest a ton of hours into if you don't want to. It's a game that you can pick up and drop at any given time and return to it too.
Well,
Unless you want to get competitive,
and it's
then
just
that's
for you and
different.
your friends.
Right. If you want to get competitive, like obviously, yeah, you need to invest like your entire day. Like that's your new job. But that's not what everyone's going to be playing this game for. It's nostalgia. I mean, Street Fighter's been around since 1987, so it's pretty cool to see a franchise still thrive for this long, honestly. And it stays to its roots, like you guys were talking about. Like it's the same, basically the same game without adding too much. Like it adds, refreshes it a little bit here and there, but at its heart, it's Street Fighter.
It's the same, but not droll. It's not. Oh, here we go, another.
Yeah, it's not copying
Another
NBA
Street
2K.
2K,
Not to
nothing.
mention, I mean, that's going to open up a whole new class of punishments between parents who grew up on the first couple Street Fighters, kids that are just being brats. Are like, settle it in Street Fighter. Just get in there, whoop their ass, go to bed. Told you to go to bed a half hour ago. Now you go to bed. Like
Yeah,
there
now,
it is.
Now you gotta go to bed crying.
Just straight embarrassed. Great. Now you're going to bed and you're sad. That was your choice.
That was your choice.
But
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna move on to our last segment of the night.
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. Yeah, last segment here. Just got a few rumors to cover here. This one actually excites me a lot because it's something I wasn't expecting that was even going to happen. But apparently, Take-Two Studios working on an unannounced open world driving game with a major license. And what other game could that be other than Midnight Club? And this could be the fifth entry. And I'm super excited. Midnight Club was a lot of fun growing up. It was one of the biggest racing games that I enjoyed playing a countless hundreds of hours. Does this excite you guys at all?
Yeah.
If it's Midnight Club.
Yeah, if it is.
If-
But
yeah,
that's the assumption that it is.
I mean, if they're looking for a major license, sure, it could be Midnight Club. Maybe they're going to be bringing back Need for Speed. I mean, this could. I mean, when you think of major license in a driving game, I mean, there's a couple that come to mind. Midnight Club would be sick. But I think any open world driving game, I think that would really be a nice. There was a couple before. I think there was one or two that I played. I know there was at least one. You just kind of drive around to your little maps, your little car meets and stuff like that. But I think an open world driving game would be would definitely be oddly fresh.
Mhm.
I
I don't think it could be a
for
Need
sure.
for Speed game though, because EA owns Need for Speed unless they're paying out their licensing.
Well,
anywhere that-
Well, that's what I'm saying.
yeah. So-
Tons of other companies have licensed Need for Speed the name
Mhm.
to make a Need for Speed game. So it could very well be a Need for Speed game. That's why they're talking about getting a major license
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and
because they
it's
already own Midnight Club.
Right, and I think
Yeah.
I think in regards to the article, I think they're talking about like a license that they own. I think that's what they're trying to say is it's one of their
Yeah.
their licenses that they're own that they're making, and they don't own any other big racing game other than Midnight Club. So it only makes sense to make a Midnight Club. And you imagine like a 4K, 60 FPS, maybe 120 FPS Midnight Club game. Like Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition already looked great on the PS2. Like, and we all know the PS2 graphics weren't phenomenal, but at that time it looked great. I can only imagine what a Midnight Club would look like, though.
Yeah, I think they'd have to. They would have to definitely try to keep in the higher FPS range
Oh yeah.
on this towards your like 120s, especially. I mean, depending on how they're gonna put any sort of the fast movement, the motion blur, stuff like that. But that's definitely something to keep an eye on, and I'm gonna be because that'll be pretty cool. That'll be pretty cool for sure.
Right. Moving on here, Halo Infinite. We know Forge is coming out here soon, but the some of the features have leaked out, and apparently you'll be able to control like the weather, the time of day, just little features like that. That's new.
I would hope.
Like no, but that's new to Forge. Like Halo's
Yeah.
never had that, and I've seen some actual like leaked footage of it, and I was just like playing like you can take some of the maps that are daytime and just change it to nighttime, and that changes the whole mood of the entire map. So I
Oh
think
yeah.
that's pretty cool because Roger, me and you have spent countless hours in Forge back in the day, and imagine what we can create now with like all the zombie maps that we used to make. Now we
Uh,
can change the time and make it look foggy and nighttime. Like, man, who the tools that they have now, I wish
Gonna
I
make
had
some
then.
weird shit.
Yeah, they're gonna be able to create some dope ass shit.
Hell yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think the weather effects alone. I mean, even if it was just like if those were the only things, just being able to take care of that and like it adds an entire like different level of intensity or less than intensity depending on what you're going for.
Hmm.
But that's definitely gonna be something nice and new to bring to the table.
Right.
That I think Halo Infinite kind of needs right now.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah, Halo Infinite's about to start getting a bunch of content over the next few months with like Forge and
yeah,
co-op and everything that should have been there on release. But hey, we're not going to talk about that today. Microsoft was also in discussions though with bringing Fallout New Vegas sequel into production, which is a no-brainer for most of us. They own Obsidian, they own Bethesda. It only makes sense, right? So, but I don't know if they need to make a Fallout New Vegas 2. Like, what if they just make like a Fallout New England or whatever, New London. They can make whatever the hell they want.
just another Fallout game that is a new zone.
Right.
Make it, give it to Obsidian, say go for it. Make another one.
But
We need the money.
right.
The
I mean,
money is great.
I don't even.
newer Vegas sounds good. Newer.
But
But it doesn't even
we
have to go
definitely.
with Obsidian though either, because like they own so many studios and with the
Well, no, no, no,
acquisition.
no. It needs to be Obsidian. We have an
Yeah,
amazing
I agree.
track record.
I
yeah.
agree.
Why not give it to them?
But we wouldn't
Because
see it
Fallout
anytime.
has gone stale.
We wouldn't see it anytime soon though, because they have
Oh no,
Outer
yeah.
Worlds 2. They still deal with Grounded, and they have I'm drawing a blank. They have another game that's also in development too. So like, I don't think that team is big enough to take on another big project that Fallout New
Well,
whatever.
but once something comes out, it
Yeah,
it could be coming down the pipe. They may very well just have it on the record saying, "Hey,
this is what
we're
we're
gonna
doing
make this
next.
in the next 5 years."
Right.
Yeah.
So that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, that's it though for the rumors. That'd be pretty cool to see all that stuff come to fruition here. But definitely time to close out this week's episode. You guys have any last comments or remarks?
No, I just want to thank everyone for coming out. Sorry we've been away for 3 weeks, being 3 weeks after our last show, but glad you could join us today. And thanks again for joining us today, Scobie. It's been great to have you on.
It was great to be on. Yeah, I don't. There's sometimes when I get a chance and I can do it, I like to sit down, take the time, and hang out with you guys and just talk about things that we knew were coming, things I had no idea was coming. It's always an exciting time to get on here with you guys and hang out and chill, crack some jokes, and bust on Bethesda as much as we can, and just look forward to some new things, for sure. And I can't wait to be on the next time.
For sure, man. Definitely want to thank all the viewers, both now and future on our YouTube. Be sure to check them out on YouTube if you for any future episodes. But these episodes are live every Sunday at 7 o'clock. But definitely want to take the time to shout out Scobeywan, Scott, whatever you want to call him, for coming on the show. Go ahead and plug your social medias, man. Where can people find you at or check out your streams or anything?
So I don't stream too often, if really at all. But I am on Twitch. I'm on Scobeywan for all of them, just as you see below here. Same thing with my BattleNet and my Discord, Scobeywan 11780 on BattleNet and 9369. Nice.
Nice.
On Discord. Same thing with my Steam, Scobeywan. I've tried to keep as much of these the same as I can, so if you can find one, you can generally find them all. But yeah, if you want to drop a line, play some games, hang out, get a hold of me.
Cool. And what about you, Roger?
Well, everyone knows where to find me at this point, but it's twitch.tv/lunatic_oblivion.
And of course, you can check me out at Twitter at MrNeverChillin_, Xbox is XNeverSpaceChillin. You want a party game, anything on there. Facebook is Vic Brubacher. Questions, concerns, want to come on the show, hit me up there. And of course, I'm just going to continue to stream on here until we build up the community where we need to be. But definitely want to thank everyone again. But until next time, peace.
Later.